You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, I know it's been a while since we've done a video on the channel. We're going to talk a nice experience I had over the holidays with my parents watching Godzilla King of the Monsters for the first time. And I wanted to kind of share that experience here. I know it's been a while since we've done content. I want you guys to know I'm not ignoring the YouTube channel. The last 2 weeks, I haven't done much content on the podcast or on the channel because the kids just went back to school yesterday and I had my family here for the week of Christmas. So the last 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, have been extremely busy here. Now things are calming down. We're in the new year. So don't worry, there's going to be content coming on the channel regularly. And I wanted to start off the new year telling this experience I had with my parents when they were up here. My son wanted to watch King of the Monsters because, of course, Christmas, he got his gifts. I got him the new Burning Godzilla NECA figure, and he was all excited about that. And he went up to my father and was like, "Papa, I want to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. You want to watch it?" And my father was like, "Hey, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Sure." And I had so much fun watching my parents watch the movie because my parents, you know, they're not critics. You know, they don't go into, you know, I mean, if there's a movie that's bad, they'll say it's bad, whatever the case may be. But what I mean is they go in with a mindset that they want to be entertained. They're not analyzing or breaking the movie down. It's whether or not they're entertained. And it was so much fun watching it because, like, when the Rodan scene happened, for example, my mother was like, "Oh my God." And like, when he flew up out of the clouds, her reaction was, "Holy shit." Like, she just thought it looked so cool. Like, it looked so epic to her. And I have to say, my father seemed to, more than anything, enjoy the soundtrack. When he first, that scene where Godzilla hits Antarctica and he comes out of the ice, the icy water, I should say, my father was like, "Hey, isn't that the old music? They redid it? Wow." He's like, "That's amazing. Sounds good." And then every time a certain song played, from the old movies, my father kind of had a nostalgia effect, you know, especially when the Mothra song came on. He loved that. He loved the music. So my father really gravitated to it. Like, he loved the movie, don't get me wrong, but the music was what really kind of put it over the top for him. And it was so much fun. By the end of the movie, my parents, they loved it. They loved the movie. They thought it was well done. And, you know, it's funny, being offline for the last 2 weeks, essentially pretty much offline. I really hardly been on Twitter. You know, even the streams have been pretty just, you know, standard, kind of just trying to keep in contact, keep up with you guys and remain consistent with my schedule. And, you know, but it's so funny when you're offline for a while, you know, you start to remember watching movies and, you know, when I watch Godzilla and all that kind of stuff, that you kind of just take it in and enjoy it. And you're not too worried about over analyzing. You know, when I'm doing the channel and I'm trying to do videos every day or I'm trying to do this, I remember, you know, reviewing, and I remember, you know, when you review, yeah, you got to kind of analyze, you got to kind of break it down, you got to pay obviously extra close attention than you normally would because you're in some ways you're kind of looking for flaws if they're there because you need to point them out. And I realized, well, you know, and for the record, if I look wiped, it's because I haven't actually slept. For those of you who were on the stream yesterday, I wasn't exactly forthcoming about some things, but basically my contract that I was supposed to start fell through. So my back's kind of against the wall right now. So I spent all night, you know, trying to make some moves and get a new contract and stuff like that. And literally I didn't lay down in bed till like 5 a.m. and then I just never fell asleep and I woke right back up at 7. So I literally have not slept. So just fair warning for those of you showing up to the stream tonight, you know what I mean? If I make it. And if I don't, I'll let you guys know ahead of time on Twitter and Facebook. But, you know, it's funny. Along with last night, you know, along with kind of rushing and trying to rectify the issue I ran into, the wall I hit, I was also thinking about the channel and thinking about my content and how much fun I'm having with the podcast and, you know, being concerned about COPA, which officially started, and kind of worried about how things are going to be next week now that the holidays are over, you know. And I said to myself, you know, there were certain things about the channel that, you know, when I watched Godzilla King of the Monsters with my parents, and I remembered just how much I was enjoying these things without being over analytical. And I think that's one of the reasons why you hardly see me do reviews anymore. I just don't have fun going into a movie and trying to pay extra attention to what might be wrong as opposed to enjoying what's right. Now, there's some movies that it's blatantly obvious that it's just bad, or it's, you know, like The Rise of Skywalker and the most recent movie I've seen. There's obvious flaws there that you cannot ignore, no matter how hard you try. And it's a movie that is a flip side. You know, on the flip side, there's people who really love it. So, and thinking about the channel, thinking about going forward into this year, and I remember a couple of videos ago, I said that this is going to be a Godzilla exclusive channel along with gaming. And, you know, I think I'm going to have to walk that back because, number one, there's hardly any Godzilla stuff to talk about. Let's be honest. I mean, that's, you know, I do have and I mentioned this before, and I think Monday is going to be the first episode. I am having a Godzilla movie deep dive podcast. I will upload the first episode on here as a full video podcast. It's going to be long, so if you don't want to listen to it here, it will also be available in audio format on podcast. And we're going to do Godzilla 1954. And as I explained before, the Godzilla deep dive is going to be looking at the movie in more detail, not necessarily reviewing it, just discussing certain parts about the movie I love, so discussing some of the history of the movie. And I'm not going to be doing this with every Godzilla title because there's some titles that I just, you know, I want to kind of highlight some of the better movies in the whole Godzilla franchise. That includes the American movies, that includes Legendary and things like that. So I'm aiming for my first episode to be up Monday, so you guys can expect that here on the channel. There will be some episodes that will be exclusive to the podcast, but I will upload excerpts from the podcast onto the Nation. So, you know, after watching the movie and after having this time off, and I really was enjoying watching things without a critique eye. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like I've seen The Witcher. The Witcher was fantastic. I watched the rest of The Mandalorian, of course. I'm in the middle of watching Lost in Space season 2 on Netflix. So, and it's just so much fun. And I realized that when I do videos, when I do reviews or discussions, I think that's why whenever I do talk about a show or stuff like that, I put discussion in the title. I don't put review that much anymore, or I'll put review and discussion, because I want to talk about it in such a way that we can recognize the flaws, recognize the issues, but still talk about the aspects of whatever show or movie that I enjoy. And I think that's probably what I'm going to stick with going forward, because I don't want to go to a movie and pay money to sit there and have to either take notes or make notes on my phone or try and look at it with a critique, you know, because at the end of the day, this isn't my job. This is my hobby. This is something I enjoy. And the only way I can really deliver these messages to you is if I'm enjoying it, you know, and that is kind of when I started to realize over this time off that I need to do content that I enjoy. And while I enjoy Godzilla a great deal, that's not all I enjoy. And I think I made that decision abruptly a couple of videos ago because most of the viewers here are Godzilla viewers. You know, I think I mentioned that video. I can put up a Godzilla video and get anywhere between 2,000 to however many views. If I put up anything else, then it's like, well, it may not do too well, or it might do okay. But at the same time, because I enjoy so many other things other than Godzilla, I'm not really kind of being true to myself. So even if I got to simplify those videos because they're not getting that many views, so I maybe need to just downgrade my presentation, you know, until the juice is worth the squeeze, so to speak, then I think I'm just going to go back and you know, I love Godzilla. Don't get me wrong, and that'll always be a part of my content. You know, it's going to always be there because I'm a huge fan and because I do love talking about it. But it's not all I want to talk about. It's not all I want to discuss when it comes to entertainment. And I'm hoping that going forward, you know, I know there's a lot of people here who like my content. If I don't put content up for a while, people drop off the map, and I get that. But I'm also hoping there's a give and take here. I'm also hoping that in areas where I'm not discussing kaiju, or in areas where I'm not discussing Godzilla, that you guys give some of my other content an opportunity. I know that a lot of you guys are also entertainment fans. I know a lot of you guys, while you're hardcore Godzilla fans, you're also fans of other, forms of entertainment. So I'm hoping that this year, as I continue to do my Godzilla stuff, but also as I continue to do my podcast and I continue to do other videos here on the channel, that you guys don't just skimp over it because it's not a Godzilla video. I'm hoping that you guys come along and give it an opportunity. Give it a chance, give it a watch. So that's all I'm really asking. I love entertainment because I work so hard, because, I'm always out there, I'm always hustling somewhere or another. When I watch a movie, when I play a game, anything like that, I really, really take it in. I really enjoy it, and I love talking about it. I love discussing it with like-minded people. This is why I do a lot of live streams, because it's fun. Like last night's live stream was great. Everybody that was there, we were having a nice discussion about Godzilla. We had a nice discussion about Star Wars. We were talking about the Marvel movies come out. I mean, it was just it wasn't a long stream. It was about an hour and a half. I kept it short, but we discussed a lot of movies, like what movies we were looking. We did like a top 10 movies we were looking forward to next year, and we spoke about Godzilla, and it was just such a great conversation back and forth between me and chat, and that's what I love. That's the kind of engagement I like. So, and we're going to hopefully have that tonight if I don't pass out. But it was great watching Godzilla King of the Monsters with my parents, and it really kind of reminded me of just how enjoyable entertainment can be when you're not looking at every little thing with a critical eye. And I don't think I want to do that anymore. There's plenty of people out there reviewing movies. There are plenty of people out there, critiquing it. It is not my job to critique these movies. This is my hobby, and I do this hobby because I enjoy it. So when I see a movie, when I watch a show, it's going to be a discussion video. It's going to be a video where I talk about how I feel about it and maybe why you should check it out, and then either exchange with you or read what you have to say in the comments, or if you happen to come to a live stream, then we can exchange back and forth on our thoughts on the topic. And that's pretty much how I'm going to do it. Now, in terms of the game content, that's going to start coming next week. There are certain games that I play on a regular basis that there's no excuse why I shouldn't be doing content for it. So one of those games is Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. I've been playing Brave Exvius since its launch, which was, I think, in 2016. And I've done a couple of spare videos here and there, but I've never really consistently stood with it because I didn't think it was a game that, not that it didn't have a following, because it has a rather huge following, but I guess that sometimes I think people are not interested in mobile games, but it turns out that there are a lot of people playing the game. There is a big following for it, and there are other content creators making content. And after playing it for 4 years, there's really no excuse why I shouldn't be making content for it either. So if you play that game, I'll be doing that content beginning next week. And I do have a lot of content planned starting for next week. So like I said, the Godzilla deep dive series, which is going to be pretty much a podcast series, but I will upload some episodes on the channel as a full podcast video. And then there will be some episodes exclusive to the podcast that I will upload certain highlights and excerpts onto the channel. I got the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius game that I'm going to start with that. Just keep it simple. Start with one game, focus on that. And then going forward, any movies or TV shows I watch, I'm going to do discussion videos. They're not going to be reviews. I'm just going to share my thoughts and let you know if you should check it out or not, give you my opinions. I know that kind of sounds like a review, but again, I'm not going to be heavily critiquing every, moment and second of the show or the movie. I'm just going to say this is what I like, this is what I didn't like, and keep it simple, because I want to enjoy all the content that I'm consuming. I don't want to have to worry about critiquing it. And believe me, even without that, I can still kind of see something happening where I will say, all right, this outright sucks, don't even bother. So, but and then come March, when Final Fantasy VII comes out, the remake, that is probably the first time you're going to see me heavily focus on a game ever. And when I say focus, I mean video parts and live streams, because that is a game that's my most anticipated game this year, and that's probably going to be my early quarter tentpole is going to be a game this year, not a movie. So don't be surprised if you see a pretty big shift from movies and TV shows to Final Fantasy VII until I beat the game, or at least that part of the game. So, but anyway, guys, so it's going to be a new year here, and I'm still worried about COPA. I'm still worried about the terms of service, but I'm going to just plow ahead. and not worry about it. I feel confident enough in the podcast and how it's growing that if something drastic happens, I'll just keep doing the podcast. But, you know, it's been a very busy holiday. I'm glad I'm going to be coming back to doing videos and doing my podcast because, like I said, I haven't been ignoring the channel. I just haven't had time to do content. The last 2.5 to 3 weeks have been insane, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun with my parents being here. It's been a lot of fun with my kids being on vacation for the last 2 weeks. But those things obviously prevent me from having the time to do content. So now that my kids are back in school, my parents are back in New York, and I don't know what's going on with my job status. So until I get an answer there, I'm going to continue doing my content. But that's probably the biggest headache I got right now. So maybe I'll go and see if I can take a little nap, but it's going to be tough because I'm waiting for some phone calls this morning. So cross your fingers and I can get that rectified. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a headache. It's going to be a bit of a headache. So, but anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I just kind of want to give you an update and express, temporarily share my experience with my parents watching King of the Monsters. It was so great. My mother's reaction watching the movie was insane. She had so much fun. But she still talks about Godzilla 1954 being the scariest movie she's ever seen. I remember she brought it up. She was like, "Oh, this is such a great movie. I remember when I first saw the one in 1950s. It scared the hell out of me." And if some of you that have been here for a while remember, my mother gave a review on 1954 a couple of years back, and she expressed on the video that it was one of the scariest movies she'd ever seen. So awesome stuff. And we're gonna deep dive into Godzilla 54. And hopefully that episode will be up and running on Monday on here on the channel as well as the podcast. So you'll have two options. You could either consume it on YouTube or you can download it and listen to it at your leisure on the podcast website. So anyway, guys, that's it for this video. We'll have more coming, and we are live streaming tonight. Hopefully I'll let you guys know on Twitter and Facebook if I pass out, but I'm pretty proud that I've been fairly consistent with that. So I want to stay that way. So 8 p.m. tonight, we're now doing live streams at 8 p.m. We're not doing 9 p.m. anymore. We got to do them at 8 p.m. because I want to finish earlier. I got a lot of stuff to do. I got a lot of content to catch up on. And assuming a work schedule at some point, 8 p.m. is a better start time for me. So, because when I do get back to work, whenever that happens now, got to get to bed early. So, all right, guys, that's it. Longer than I wanted this video to be. Sorry about that. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.